take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
Tonight, the shootout outside the U.S. Embassy in Beirut. Video shows a gunman opening fire on Lebanese soldiers and the embassy security team. What we're now learning about what happened. Plus,
I did not file a restraining order because I thought he would just go away. There's fear, there's embarrassment, and there's shame. It is. When people say, oh no, that could never happen to me because I would do X, Y, Z. You never know what you're gonna do until it happens to you.
Angela Gabriel survived the unthinkable. She was paralyzed after being shot by her partner 9 times. Now she's sharing her story as the Supreme Court prepares to rule on a challenge to a ban that keeps guns out of the hands of domestic abusers. And
so we've been granted access to a small group within one of Mexico's largest cartels whose specialty are so-called long-haul migrants.
Matt Rivers looks at how millions of people are arriving so quickly and efficiently to the U.S. Our access within one of Mexico's largest cartels to show us how they're moving people into the U.S. every day. Good evening, everyone. I'm Lindsay Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us. We're following those stories and much more, including a possible terror plot uncovered in Paris as world leaders arrive for the 80th anniversary of D-Day. Plus, the much-needed win for Boeing and major milestone. The astronauts currently on their way to the International Space Station. And joy, anger, disgust, sadness, and fear. 9 years after the world was captivated by Riley's mind and Inside Out, we get all the details on the sequel. But we do begin with new tensions in the Middle East. An armed gunman attacking the U.S. Embassy in Beirut, Lebanon, engaging in a shootout with embassy security. Authorities say he had the word ISIS written across his vest. A Lebanese official confirmed this video shows the gunman ducking as an armed vehicle goes by. Authorities say the gunman was wounded and is now hospitalized. No Americans were hurt in the attack, and the ambassador was not present. Authorities also said the gunman is a Syrian national and that they've arrested 5 others, including 3 members of the gunman's family. Our chief global affairs anchor, Martha Raddatz, leads us off.
In broad daylight, just outside the heavily secured U.S. Embassy, a gunman armed with an automatic weapon. Lebanese officials confirming he's seen in this video darting between vehicles. The sound of gunfire ripping through the neighborhood. Horrified onlookers shouting, "Bring someone to help. Where is the security?" Minutes later, the suspected gunman shot and arrested by Lebanese army soldiers, but expected to survive. Authorities say he is a Syrian national, and written across his ammunition vest, the word ISIS.
We are conducting a full investigation with the Lebanese authorities into the actual motivations.
A local guard was seriously injured in the shootout, but no U.S. personnel were involved. Lebanese authorities arrested 5 additional people, including members of the suspected shooter's family, in raids following the attack.
Martha Raddatz joins us now. Martha, the State Department recently warned Americans who plan to travel to Lebanon. What are they saying?
They did, Lindsay, and luckily no Americans were injured in this attack, but the shooting does follow that warning from the State Department that said terrorists could conduct attacks in Lebanon with little or no warning. That seems to be exactly what happened today. Lindsay?
Sure does. Martha Raddatz, our thanks to you. Meanwhile, in France, authorities are investigating a possible terror plot. The suspect is a former member of the Russian military who officials say detonated a homemade bomb at a hotel near Charles de Gaulle Airport. ABC's Tom Soufi-Burge is in Paris with the details just coming in.
Tonight, a Russian national suspected of orchestrating a terror plot reportedly targeting French military equipment headed for Ukraine is now in custody. Police arresting the 26-year-old man after he was found with products and materials intended for the manufacture of explosive devices, according to France's anti-terrorism prosecutor. The man discovered by first responders on Monday night after a homemade device exploded in a hotel room near Paris's Charles de Gaulle Airport, with the suspect treated for severe burns and now being questioned in hospital, say officials. Guns and fake passports also found in that hotel room, according to French media. Tonight, reports that the suspect served 2 years in the Russian military and comes from Ukraine's eastern Donbass region, much of which has been occupied by Russian and Russian proxy forces for more than a decade.
And Lindsay, this alleged Russian-inspired plot coming after French President Macron did not rule out sending troops to Ukraine to stop Russia from winning the war. Lindsay.
Tom, thank you. And in Normandy, France, President Biden will deliver an address tomorrow marking D-Day, the 80th anniversary of Allied forces storming the beaches of France in World War II. According to the White House, his remarks will defend freedom and democracy and also the importance of American leadership. ABC's chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce is traveling with the president. Mary, what's the latest from the president's trip?
Well, Lindsay, the president arriving here in France today to, of course, honor the veterans, but also to underscore the importance of American leadership and protecting democracy. The president is trying to rally allies to help defend Ukraine against Russia, and he will meet with Ukrainian President Zelensky while he is here. Ukraine, of course, has been using U.S.-made weapons to strike back inside Russia, and Vladimir Putin today stressing that Russia, a nuclear-armed power, will use all means to respond to the West. Putin saying, quote, if someone's actions threaten our sovereignty, we consider it possible for ourselves to use all the means at our disposal. And while President Biden's remarks here will not be an official campaign speech, he has put preserving democracy at the center of this race. And Lindsay, he will make it clear the sharp contrast with Donald Trump.
All right, Mary Bruce reporting in from Paris, traveling with the president. Thanks so much, Mary. And tomorrow, David Muir will sit down with President Biden in Normandy for an exclusive interview on the D-Day anniversary, its relevance today, as well as the many pressing issues the president is facing, including the upcoming election. The Senate has failed to advance legislation that would codify the right to access contraceptives nationwide. All but 2 Republicans present voted against the measure for a final vote of 51 to 39. Democrats look to put reproductive care at the front of their messaging in the lead up to November elections. Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has promised several more votes on reproductive rights in the coming weeks. And in Delaware, President Joe Biden's son Hunter is on trial for 3 felony gun charges. It was a day of difficult and emotional testimony as Hunter's ex-wife and a former girlfriend took the stand for the prosecution. Here's ABC's Terry Moran with the details.
On day 3 of Hunter Biden's trial, the women from his past were called to testify as prosecutors tried to prove he lied about his drug use on an application for a gun in 2018. Kathleen Buell, Hunter's ex-wife, avoided looking at her husband of 25 years and in a soft and halting voice told jurors about the day in 2015 she discovered he was using crack. I found a crack pipe in an ashtray on the side porch of our home, she said. Buell told jurors she could tell when Hunter was using because he was not himself. He was angry and short-tempered. But that marriage was over years before Hunter filled out his gun background check in 2018, cross-examination revealing that Buell knew little of where Hunter was or what he was doing then. So prosecutors put Zoe Keston on the stand, his former girlfriend and exotic dancer he met at a strip club. Keston testifying she saw Hunter smoking crack just 3 weeks before he bought that Colt .38 gun and said he'd smoke every 20 minutes or so. But on cross-examination, Keston admitted she lost contact with Hunter days later and had no idea what Hunter was doing at the time he applied to purchase the gun. Defense lawyers say he was abusing alcohol, not drugs, at that time. Prosecutors went on to show the photos from Keston's phone of a crack pipe in the hotel rooms the couple shared. Keston describing Hunter's demeanor on crack. I remember thinking to myself that there was no change in his behavior. He was the same charming person.
Terry Moran joins us now from Washington. Terry, what stood out to you in court today?
Well, that prosecutors really did put 2 of the women from Hunter Biden's past on the witness stand to bring the jury close to his addiction. They were witnesses to the beginning of it, his ex-wife who discovered that crack pipe, and then Zoe Keston, the dancer with whom he was romantically involved, who joined him in using it and using crack with him. And then the last witness of the day, actually more critical, the gun shop owner who sold Hunter Biden that Colt .38 special and watched as Hunter Biden affirmed on that federal form that he was not abusing drugs at the time of the purchase. So that is probably more important in the long run than the more lurid testimony that prosecutors elicited from the women. Lindsay?
Terry Moran for us. Thanks so much, Terry. Louisiana lawmakers passed a bill giving judges an option to sentence aggravated sex crime offenders with surgical castration. The GOP-controlled legislature approved the law, and if the governor signs it, it will allow the punishment for a person convicted of a sex crime against a child younger than 13. Louisiana would be the first state with such a punishment, though a handful of others already allow for hormone therapy called chemical castration. Surgical castration is a much more invasive procedure. President Biden's new executive order is the latest attempt to restrict the amount of migrants who claim asylum between ports of entry at the southern border. But will any of it make a difference? Tonight, our Matt Rivers takes the question to the people smuggling migrants into America with unparalleled access inside the human smuggling operation of one of the largest cartels in Mexico. It's an industry worth billions of dollars a year.
We are unlikely travelers on this dirt road, inching toward a tiny speck of a town in the middle of the northern Mexican desert. Here, after midnight, under a brightly lit moon, you can meet people from all over the world. How much money have you had to pay to get from Senegal to Brazil to Colombia, Nicaragua, Mexico? How much did all this cost?
J'ai dépensé beaucoup d'argent. J'ai dépensé tout ce que j'avais. Tout ce que j'avais. Tout ce que j'ai épargné. J'ai dépensé presque entre 6 millions.
That's French he's speaking. This man is from Senegal, a migrant, thousands of miles away from home. Just like him and her, mothers, fathers, sons, daughters, all strangers, all now of singular purpose, get to the U.S. And it's these men, the ones with the guns and the masks, who will make that happen, even if it means cramming 24 people into a horse trailer. The United States southwest border is in the midst of an unrelenting wave of migration. Many fleeing poverty or violence or wars or climate change. It's all here. But this story is about the how. How millions of people are arriving so quickly, so efficiently. And that answer is simpler. It's organized crime. So we've been granted access to a small group within one of Mexico's largest cartels whose specialty are so-called long-haul migrants, people who come from faraway places like India, Bangladesh, Senegal, even China, who want to get to the U.S. And this group is going to show us how they're moving dozens, if not hundreds of such people into the U.S. every single day. That's how we end up here, in a town we agreed not to name, because all of this is illegal. So this is the first group that's going to go to the border, and then you're going to come back and pick up more people?
Exactly.
And this is just how it goes every day?
Every day.
All night?
Twice times a day.
2 or 3 times a day?
Yes.
So there's 20 people here?
Hopefully, because we're going to get a job more, you know?
Right.
Just to get some space to everybody.
Right.
You will see right now.
This SUV pulls up, and the migrants are loaded in one by one, every inch of space taken.
Same thing, open your leg.
Women and kids in the front, and once it's full, bizarre pleasantries.
Where you guys from, guys? Indian? Peru. Okay. Good luck. God bless you. Ánimo.
It's all extremely organized. The smuggler serves as a ticket checker, going through a list, confirming each migrant's name with their payment and a photo. If your tab is cleared and your photo matches, then you can go to the U.S. If not, you are forced to wait there until payment is complete.
Probably every week we get like more than 200, 300.
So 300 people now per week. And that's just here. But this is happening
all the border.
All the border, right?
Yes.
To the tune of billions and billions of dollars, according to U.S. government estimates. By facilitating that flow, cartels are making more money than ever. Do you think it's possible that the cartels will make more money from human smuggling than they will from drug trafficking?
I think that in at least 5 years, human traffickers will be more richer than drug traffickers.
Which is why organized crime will do whatever they can to keep pushing people north. Nothing deters them.
Es como la droga que pierdes y se fue la inversión, tienes que volver a agarrar lo mismo. Ahí sí son pérdidas, aquí no. Ellos mismos solo se hacen las cosas.
Y por eso es un negocio más valoroso para ustedes.
Exacto.
¿Y piensas que va a seguir?
No va a parar. Le vuelvo a repetir, no va a parar. Sí.
The work went all night long. A couple dozen men lined up, bound for the border.
Hey, no se amontonen, plebes, por favor.
The smuggler forcing it shut. It is difficult to watch. ¿Y ustedes no están tomando ventaja de...?
De nada, aquí las cosas derechas.
Porque hay gente, hay grupos que dicen ustedes son los bad guys aquí, ¿no?
Exactamente, es donde voy. Pero ya llegando aquí, la misma gente se da cuenta cómo.
Loaded down, the SUV rolled to the border, straining under the weight of the people inside. Why is this trip worth it to you?
Vraiment, ça m'intéresse au Sénégal pour aller aux États-Unis. Pour avec les meilleurs et pour vivre là-bas mieux.
The smugglers take these videos to show their bosses they're doing their job, but eventually the different groups made it to the border. Each has a different reason for being here, but like the millions before them, it is organized crime that brought them to the U.S. doorstep. The smugglers then leave. There are many more people to pick up.
Our thanks to Matt Rivers for that. As we reported on Tuesday, President Biden rolled out sweeping executive actions to address the migrant crisis, capping the number of migrants who can claim asylum between ports of entry at the southern border. Most migrants crossing illegally will now be barred from seeking asylum once encounters reach more than 2,500 for 7 consecutive days. And joining us now to discuss this is the mayor of El Paso, Texas, Oscar Leeser. Mayor Leeser, we thank you so much for joining us. You were there at the White House yesterday when President Biden announced these actions. Migrant crossings had been at record numbers for a while, so why take the action now?
Well, it's not that it just happened yesterday. We've been working on this for years with the White House as we continue to see numbers of people coming into our city. Back in 2022, we had between 2,000 and 2,500 a day coming in every day. And we called Secretary Mayorkas and the federal government to help us and assist us, and they did. They continued to help us, to assist us. We'd not been able to do it without their assistance. You know, one of the things that's really important to talk about, that the immigration process is broken, and it's going to continue to be broken until we can get a bipartisan agreement. This is just a start, and but it didn't just start yesterday. It's something that we've been asking for assistance. No city can sustain at any given moment the numbers that come here. One of the things that we're very proud of, that El Paso provides an assistance to the federal government to make sure people are safe and they have a warm bed and they have warm meals and they're out of the elements. And that's something that's really, really important, that they're out of the elements, right? You know, today it's going to be 106 in El Paso, and it becomes very dangerous for them. So we're very proud that we have no street releases and we continue to help people, but we couldn't do it without the assistance of the federal government.
And there will be some exceptions, like for victims of human trafficking and for unaccompanied minors. Are you at all concerned that families and smuggling organizations, like the ones my colleague Matt Rivers just profiled, will now send more unaccompanied children across the border?
Well, we've seen, we've seen huge numbers years ago, and the number's gone down. But one of the things that we're always concerned for the safety of children, the safety of women and families. So that's something that we take very serious here in El Paso, and we make sure that families are not separated and that the children are safe and women are safe. And that's one of the things that I really believe that this executive order will help, because now you go through a CBP-1 application, and once you do that application, then you'll have the right to come into the U.S. and not have to, you know, put yourself out in the desert and not put yourself out in danger, and your kids, your family. And, you know, we've seen people when they rush the border, you've seen videos of that, people riding on the trains and falling off and unfortunately losing their lives. This weekend, the Border Patrol had a call to rescue 4 people from the desert. So it's something that's really important to us, the safety of not only children and women, but also the families.
How difficult has the current crisis been for you, for the city of El Paso?
Well, you know, one of the things is we have great cooperation from the Border Patrol, Customs, and the county and the city. We speak and work with one voice, and whether, you know, we have a responsibility as a border city and to help and work with the federal government. We don't implement federal laws. We got to make sure that our asylum seekers in our city is safe. Our number 1 priority is safety to our community, and that's one of the things we really work really hard. But we pride ourselves on making sure that people are treated humanely and with dignity, and we've done an excellent job. As I said, we're probably one of the only cities, if not the only city, along the border that has no street releases, yet we have record of people coming into our city.
Mayor Leeser, we thank you so much for your time and look forward to continuing to be updated by you. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
After several delays, Boeing Starliner spacecraft has finally launched its first astronaut-crewed flight. The Starliner blasted off from Cape Canaveral earlier today, and the capsule will transport 2 veteran NASA astronauts to the International Space Station. The mission is set to last a total of 8 days in space, and the historic capsule plans to transmit live video from inside the Starliner back to Earth. And coming up next on Prime, 1 in 2 female murder victims in this country is killed by an intimate partner, more than half of the time by a gun. Now a challenge that has made its way to the Supreme Court questions whether it's unconstitutional to keep guns out of the hands of those facing a restraining order in domestic violence cases. We hear from survivors who are demanding change in our special report, Lethal Love.
He knelt down like on the other side of the kitchenette table and had the gun, and he was kneeling right next to William. And he had the gun pointed at me and was kind of like taunting and playing with me with it. And all of a sudden, Will screamed out, and again, he had just turned 4. He screamed out, "Don't do it, Daddy, don't shoot Mommy."
If you were coming of age in the 1980s, the Brat Pack was near the center of your cultural awareness. But for those of us experiencing it from the inside, the Brat Pack was something very different. On June 10th, 1985, New York Magazine published Hollywood's Brat Pack. I just remember seeing that cover and thinking, oh. From then on, my career and the career of everyone who was involved was branded to the Brat Pack.
I'm really sorry that article had to come out.
I've never talked to anybody about what that was like. So I thought it might be interesting to try and contact everyone who was in the Brat Pack. Hey, Emilio Estevez. This is Andrew McCarthy calling you. Hey, Allie. Hey, Demi. Hey, Molly. Let's call Rob. Hello. Judd? Me? You around? You were not interested in talking about the Brat Pack for years.
I turned everything down.
How come you're talking to me?
Because you called me. It was time that we clear the air on a couple things.
I love your stuff, Bob. Hey, thank you. I hated the Brat Pack for decades. What a disaster. If you could have the Brat Pack name not exist, would you?
It really irritated me. They said, what's more important to you, the movie or your life? And I said, the movie, Andrew.
Have you talked to the others? The others, like, again, it feels like a cult or something.
Yeah. Why did we take it as an offense?
Well,
as opposed to like
the brat.
Because we were young.
We were afraid we were brats, you know? Are you in the Brat Pack?
I'm Brat Pack adjacent.
That's what I was saying.
I am not in the Brat Pack.
Don't you crush on you back in the day?
You did not, Andrew. No, you did not.
Being in the Brat Pack not only changed all of our lives, it changed what entertainment is. I mean, I'm not going to say we were the Beatles or anything.
Well, we didn't fill Shea Stadium. There were moments.
We could have. 1985, I think we could have.
So what are you filming?
Oh, we're just doing this documentary.
What's it about?
Ancient history.
Will you call my name?
When it matters most, America turns to David Muir and ABC's World News Tonight.
Everybody right now is worried that TikTok's going to be banned in the United States.
We owe a lot to TikTok, and I do not want to see it banned.
That's my main source of income. It would bring me into deep depression.
What evidence have you guys actually seen that this is a threat to national security?
The two greatest powers on Earth are vying over a teenage video app.
I am not imagining a future without TikTok.
The death of TikTok? This is Impact by Nightline, now streaming on Hulu.
Welcome back, everyone. It is quite a remarkable statistic. The World Health Organization estimates about 1 in 3 women will be abused by an intimate partner in their lifetime. And now here in the U.S., the Supreme Court is expected to rule on a law that denies guns to people under restraining orders, potentially putting weapons back into the hands of abusers. We spoke with 2 women who survived the unthinkable, shot by their partners multiple times. They're now sharing their stories to advocate for others. But some say the ruling comes down to one simple thing: Second Amendment rights. We do want to warn you, some of the subject matter in this story may be disturbing. With the threat of sea change on the horizon, Kate Ranta remains vigilant. She does not want to go back to the past.
Nobody would listen to me. I was flipping out.
She distinctly recalls knowing something terrible was going to happen.
I had told so many people for so long, and nobody would do anything.
And then it did, on November 2nd, 2012.
911, what is your emergency? Please, my estranged husband is here, and he's trying to get into my... Give me your address. Give me your address, ma'am. Ma'am. He's trying to kill you out.
He knelt down, like on the other side of the kitchenette table, and had the gun, and he was kneeling right next to William. And he had the gun pointed at me and was kind of like taunting and playing with me with it. And all of a sudden, Will screamed out, and again, he had just turned 4. He screamed out, "Don't do it, Daddy, don't shoot Mommy."
I'm sorry. You're dying? I know.
It was while she was in the process of divorcing U.S. Air Force Major Thomas Maffei that he shot her twice. Once in her breast, once in her hand. He also shot her father, all in front of little William, who was just 4 years old.
It wasn't like in the movies and on TV. The police didn't come kick the door in and shoot and kill the bad guy. Nobody was coming in to save us. So either I was going to die on that floor or try to get out the door. So I did, and I really thought that he was just going to shoot me from behind as I left.
Bleeding profusely, she was lucky to get out alive. So was Angela Gabriel, a real estate agent in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. On February 22nd, 2017, the father of 2 of her children was angry. She was trying to defuse the situation by leaving the room and taking a bath.
One of the last things I remember hearing him say was, "I wish you would just shut up sometimes." And the next thing I know, I look up and he's standing in the bathroom door, and I see the last 2 gunshots.
He was firing and you didn't even realize?
Didn't even realize it. To this day, I don't remember him coming into the bathroom door and starting to shoot me. I can see the flash from the gun. I can see the recoil in his hand, and I can physically see flesh flying off my skin. And I am just dumbfounded because this is someone that's supposed to love us, protect us, take care of us. Someone that's supposed to be protecting us from the outside. But here it is, how the saying goes about the fox in the hen house. I told him to dial 911.
911, where's your emergency?
Look, I just shot my
Hello?
girlfriend.
You shot your girlfriend? What's your address?
I need an ambulance. I'm sorry.
He's on the phone with the 911 operator, and I'm thinking that I'm dying. And I said, oh my God, I don't want to die. I have 4 children.
Miraculously, Angela survived the 9 gunshots Carl Thompson unloaded into her.
Where is she shot at?
In the arm, in the chest, I don't know.
Is she still awake?
Yes.
But the life she once knew is over. She's now forever confined to a wheelchair, and to this day, she is still shocked that he actually tried to kill her.
But I thought that he would never do anything like that to me because we were friends. We'd always been friends.
Had you had any kinds of experiences of violence with him prior to February 22nd?
Yeah. He grabbed me by my hoodie and threw me out the back door. There's nothing going through my mind that this is a domestic violence type relationship. He is really losing it. He grabs me, he gets on top of me, and he's choking me.
Had he ever threatened, I'm gonna kill you?
He actually did. 90 days prior to him actually attempting to kill me, his words was, I'm going to empty my clip in your face. And I said, you know what? You have officially lost your mind.
But you believed him when he said he would never hurt you?
Yeah.
So when he said, you know, I'll empty this clip in your face, you didn't think he would do it?
I just thought that he was still angry at the world.
The number of women who don't survive when their relationships turn violent is staggering. Every month in the U.S., 70 women are shot to death by an intimate partner, and Black women are 6 times more likely to be killed than white women. All of these smiles extinguished as a result of domestic violence.
Many people don't really think that it is a huge of an issue as it is.
Rosalind Page is a nurse in Little Rock, Arkansas. She spends much of her free time scouring the internet, looking for cases of Black women and girls who have been murdered as a way to elevate their stories, which she believes have been underreported for too long. And that's why she started the nonprofit Black Femicide US.
Femicide is the intentional murder of a woman and girl based specifically on gender. You know, most of it is intimate partner violence. And most victims of femicide, they know their perpetrators.
When it comes to intimate partner homicides, more than 50% of the time, the weapon of choice is a gun.
If your abuser has a firearm, there's almost nothing you can do. So it really increases, realistically, the fear, but also the lethality. Women often stay because they're too afraid to leave the abuser.
Dr. Shitra Raghavan is a professor at John Jay College of Criminal Justice. Her expertise is intimate partner violence.
We have plenty of data that if the abuser owns a gun, the likelihood that the woman will be lethally injured or severely injured immediately goes up.
Victims of domestic violence are 5 times more likely to die when an abusive partner has access to a gun.
And I go to the patrolman and I said, what's the difference between a protective order and a restraining order? And he looks at my neck and he looks at my arms and he says, those bruises that's on your arms and neck, is that why you asking? Are you gonna file the protective order? I said, no, I don't think so. It's just gonna open up a can of worms. It's just gonna make them more aggressive. I just want to be done.
A restraining order offers some level of protection because federal laws prohibit those with temporary restraining orders from obtaining a gun, though it is up to individual states to enact them.
I did not file a restraining order because I thought he would just go away.
Without it?
Without it. Did not.
You regret that?
At this moment, I do. Because with the protective order filed, he would have had to surrender his weapons. But I didn't want to be judged. And the type of work that I do, people look up to me. And they expect to see like a strong Angela. And I didn't want anybody to know that there was another Angela. So when people tell you there's like there's fear, there's embarrassment, and there's shame, you never know what you're gonna do until it happens to you.
Why do you think it is in the Black community in particular? Now, fortunately, you lived to be able to tell this, I mean, really miraculous story. But Black women are 6 times more likely than white women to die in domestic disputes.
It's prevalent in the African American community. I think it's because, number one, Black women are raised to be so strong. Our men feel like they might need to exert dominance some other type of way. It's the mental health, it's the poverty, it's the lack of love that a lot of our Black men miss.
The man who shot her, Carl Thompson, was convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to 45 years behind bars. As for Kate Ranta,
Wilson, don't do it, Daddy. Don't shoot Mommy.
she had to relive it all as her ex-husband was put on trial 5 years after the shooting. In 2017, he was sentenced to 60 years in prison without the possibility of parole. Kate has gone on to write a book and has even inked some of the words that gave her strength onto her body.
Sisu is a Finnish word for like courage, bravery, perseverance.
She's now an advocate.
What's happening here today could fundamentally change lives.
And there she was outside of the Supreme Court when the justices heard arguments in the case of U.S. versus Rahimi, which questions the legality of restricting gun ownership for those with restraining orders. In the case, Zachary Rahimi is challenging a federal charge of illegal gun possession in violation of a domestic violence restraining order as unconstitutional. Now, the question is denying someone the ability to possess a gun an infringement on their Second Amendment rights.
I'm like, are you kidding me? It's so offensive and so scary for women and children that are in these situations.
Just the mere presence of a firearm during a domestic dispute increases the risk of homicide by 500%. Advocates and experts alike warn the court's ruling on Rahimi could put people in abusive relationships at risk. If you were to talk to those justices today, what would you say?
That is not a violation of their Second Amendment rights. If I would have put that protective order against him, 30 days later, he would not have had those guns. He would have not shot me, and I would not be paralyzed. I would say, please do not fail the women who are scared to go home every day.
What happened to Angela may have slowed her down, but it has not stopped her. She knows she's fortunate and counts herself blessed that she can still hug her children.
It's a struggle, but you have to learn to live a modified life. I just had to learn to change. And my tiny tribe, which would be my 4 children, like, it's us.
What do you say to that woman who, for some reason, isn't leaving, but is being abused?
This is what can happen to you if you do not leave, if you do not think about yourself first, because they will kill you. I don't care how many apologies you get, you have to leave. There is help. I believe it is our job to really shine a light on what's happening and let these women know that they're not alone.
We want to thank Angela and Kate for sharing their stories with us. During the reporting of this story, we learned that women who are strangled by their partners are 7 times more likely to be killed by them. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, please reach out to the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233 or visit thehotline.org. We'll be right back.
What does it take to be the most watched newscast in America?
An operation to capture ISIS fighters.
Is this our combat operations center?
We're approaching the gate now. Militants came in from 4 or 5 different directions. Operational nuclear reactor. So you have a couple loaded and ready to go. The house is destroyed, but the flag, there's not a tear in it. Not a tear in it. How important is this label right here, Made in the USA? Look at your smile. You're proud of this.
I love this.
Great work. Hi. Where are you? Where are you? Appreciate you. Thank you. David, good to meet you. Ismail? David.
David.
Yes, yes. I'm David Muir.
I know who you are.
You
Watch
do?
you every night.
ABC's World News Tonight with David Muir is America's most watched newscast.
They call him the Beauty Queen Killer. He's targeting young women in malls.
I am single. I want to enjoy the company of a member of women.
He tortured me.
How did she survive 9 days of terror?
The word accomplice came up. Nobody knows the real story.
The Beauty Queen Killer, only on Hulu.
Hi, I'm Andy. And I'm Sabrina. And we're moms, juggling tons of stuff every day, like all you moms out there. And you know what we love? Really love? Pop culture. So listen now to our new podcast, Pop Culture Moms, wherever you get your podcasts.
Streaming free Friday night on ABC News Live.
I'm a rock and roll star. I'm not a saint. I'm John Bon Jovi.
John Bon Jovi. The new special, what you have not yet seen. John Bon Jovi with Michael Strahan. Streaming free Friday night on ABC News Live.
Let's go.
The ship is incredible. It feels like living in a science fiction movie.
We just saw what no one has seen before.
Wow, look at that.
Oh my gosh.
We are heading into the unknown.
Hammer, hammer, hammer.
It doesn't get any more cutting edge than this.
Why do so many people start their day here?
From ABC News, this is Start Here.
To be in the know and get a different take on the day's top stories.
A lot of news today, so let's get into it.
Listen now to the Daily News Podcast honored with 4 Edward R. Murrow Awards and see why the New York Times calls it a news podcast worth listening to. Start Here, ABC News. Make it your daily first listen.
Now, that's a part of the story I bet you didn't see coming.
Wherever you get your podcasts, Start Here.
It's lunchtime in America, so what are we serving up?
Well, how about everything you need to know?
You know, that sounds pretty good.
Give it to me. Your health, your money, breaking news, pop culture, with the biggest stars, music, trends, and of course, good food. GMA 3, what you need to know. A third hour of GMA in the afternoon.
So join us, afternoons.
For everything you need to know. I love that.
Reporting from the volcano eruption in Grindavik, Iceland, I'm Marcus Moore. Wherever the story is, we'll take you there. You're streaming with ABC News Live.
Welcome back, everyone. The American commute to work just keeps on getting longer. What does that say about how we work and where we live? We take a look by the numbers. The share of people making commutes 75 miles or longer, so-called super commuters, is up by 32% since 2020, according to new research from Stanford University. And the number of commuters driving between 50 and 74 miles also increased to the tune of 18%. The data shows American workers are now living further from their workplaces. In 2019, on average, people lived 10 miles from work, but by the end of 2023, that rose to 27 miles away from work, according to a payroll service called Gusto. And employees in their late 30s are also traveling even longer, 29 miles to work on average. It's likely due to hybrid work arrangements and rising housing costs in job centers. Between 2021 and 2023, a net of 1.9 million people moved out of 56 major metro areas in the U.S., according to public policy policy firm Demographia. The cities with the largest increases in commute times longer than 75 miles include Washington, D.C., New York City, Phoenix, and also Dallas. And speaking of New York City commuters, New York Governor Kathy Hochul just announced today that the city's planned congestion pricing plan has been paused indefinitely less than a month before it was supposed to go into effect. It would have charged motorists for entering Manhattan's business district and would have been the first such congestion charge in the entire country. And we still have much more ahead here on Prime tonight. Coming up, heroes return to Normandy. World War II veterans make a monumental journey back to the historic beaches for D-Day. And next, when was the last time you really listened to your feelings? With the upcoming premiere of Inside Out 2, the voice of anger is back. Comedian Louis Black speaks with us about his big feelings.
Whenever, wherever news breaks, it's so important to always remember that lives are changed. Here in London, in Buffalo,
Uvalde, Texas, Edinburgh, Scotland, from Poland once again tonight. Thank you so much for streaming with us. Ukrainian refugees here in Warsaw. Do you think you'll ever be able to go back home? We're heading to a small community outside of Mexico City. Splintered houses and splintered lives. The magnitude of the devastation. You're streaming ABC News Live. Reporting from Rolling Fork, Mississippi, Santa Fe, New Mexico, Raleigh, North Carolina, the U.S. Capitol, Mayfield, Kentucky,
Minneapolis,
Mexico, Tongass National Forest, Alaska.
Getting you behind the stories as they happen, giving you a front row seat to our world as it plays out in real time, live.
ABC News Live Prime. We'll take you there.
Stream ABC News Live weeknights, America's most honored streaming news program, only on ABC News Live. Streaming free right now wherever you stream your news.
First thing in the morning.
There's a lot going on.
We're still in a flash flood warning. To catch you up with what happened overnight. Police in riot gear arresting dozens of protesters.
What's happening today? Escalating tensions in the Middle East.
What people are talking about. The migrant crisis.
Fast, straightforward.
With some fun in between.
Check out the Gator on the 17th hole.
The buzzkill in baseball.
First thing in the morning.
America This Morning.
America's #1 early morning news.
On ABC News Live.
All right, let the dogs out, please.
I don't think he's going to give you a hard time.
Even if he gives me a hard time, I'm the right guy. I want to make sure that we all learn together.
Calm, confident.
Calm, confident, calm, surrender.
Everything that he's taught has become a reality.
We are so grateful and impressed.
I feel like crying.
You changed our world.
It is a beautiful thing to see. As you rehabilitate the dog, you also rehabilitate you.
I'm Anthony Mackie. Like most fishermen, sharks used to terrify me. If the shark gets too close, I should hit it in the nose.
Well, you don't need to hit it.
I'm on a quest to find out why these apex predators, that's amazing, are swiping fishermen's hard-earned catches. What? You saw that? Shark Beach with Anthony Mackie.
Woo, that's our fish.
Look at that.
Part of the sharkiest 4-week celebration this summer. Shark Fest starts June 30th at 9 on National Geographic.
GMA's surprised people across the country, helping find thousands in unclaimed money.
This really is a big check.
Yeah! And this summer, we're at it again.
That's incredible.
Because nothing's better than hearing you say,
Show me the money!
On Good Morning America.
With so much at stake in our world right now, more Americans turn here to David than anywhere else. And now, America's most trusted, most watched newscast, ABC's World News Tonight with David Muir, is available to you on YouTube.
Do our emotions and core beliefs guide us in every life step and decision? The Pixar animated film Inside Out brought emotions to life as animated characters. Joy, anger, disgust, sadness, and fear guided the main character through her life. And 9 years after the original, Inside Out 2 now follows Riley entering her teenage years with some new emotions. Let's take a look.
Now it's time to greet your team, Riley! Playing in his 13th year and fresh from the penalty box, it's Riley's anger!
Let me at him!
And comedian Louis Black is here now. Hey, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
So, from Unaccompanied Minors to Accepted to your stand-up, I mean, you're known for playing an angry man, right? But
yeah.
How do you go about portraying an angry teenage girl?
It's the same anger. There's no difference. I mean, I actually thought, to be honest, when we went to do when they were going to, if they were going to do Inside Out 2, that they would have this, that I would not be doing it, and they'd have somebody else, a woman, do it. But obviously.
When they thought anger, they thought you.
And my anger comes from my mother. So.
So you were able to relate.
Yeah.
What took so long? Why 9 years later?
First off, it takes them, when the first time I did Inside Out, they said from the beginning, they said, "Do you want to do this?" I said, "Yes." And they said, "It'll be 5 years from now when it's produced." So it takes them 5 years to do it. Also, figuring out how they were going to make that, what was the next part of the story?
Was there an evolution now we talked about how anger necessarily isn't different between males and females, but isn't it different from when you're a toddler to an adolescent to a teenager? Is there an evolution of anger?
There's the subtleties of it, and anger has to kind of make way, as you'll see in this, to other emotions, which first off, anger's not happy about it. It's like taking my spotlight, but it's you find that in the response to to these other emotions, anger has to find his own way. It's within it. The positive is the anger generates that thing in the other emotions of, we got to deal with this.
Which Inside Out scene made you cry the most? That was actually a Washington Post headline after the first Inside Out. A lot of people left the theater in tears, or it moved them in some way. Are we going to feel that same kind of emotion from Inside Out too?
Yeah, I think we are. I think it encompasses a wider audience, somewhat a wider audience, maybe. I think it did the first time. Now, I mean, it's about puberty. It's a whole new realm, and so I think. From what I've gathered, I have not seen it yet. I'm going to see it tonight. So from everything I've heard, that people are, the folks who I know are, who should know better, are crying.
There's a line in the movie that talks about how adults feel less joy after they've grown up. And I'm wondering, there are so many, oftentimes, messages for adults, even in kids' movies, animated movies. Did you learn anything about yourself as you were going through the process of making the movie?
Well, what I learned is that if I had been, if this movie was around when I was a kid, I would have spent probably, thousands less in therapy. Thousands. Because when I was born and raised, there was no discussion of emotions. Right. Look at where we are as a country dealing with mental health. Now, like last Thursday, we figured it out that people are having difficulty. What is? It's ludicrous.
You're exactly right.
So for me, it was really, to me, that we'd finally taken a step with this. That's what I'd learned.
Louis Black, such a pleasure to talk to you. Really appreciate it, and looking forward to seeing the movie. For our viewers, you can watch Inside Out 2 in theaters June 14th. As we mark the 80th anniversary of D-Day, President Biden and other world leaders gathered in France to honor those who served. ABC's Lara Spencer spoke with one of the men who shared his remarkable story.
The last time Felix Maurizio was at Omaha Beach, he was 19 years old, newly enlisted in the Navy, witnessing the horrors of war.
It hurts. It really hurts. When they were coming in, I could just picture the planes, the ships, and boats coming in and troops going ashore.
It was pretty vivid.
And I had tears in my eyes, to tell you the truth. I'm not ashamed to admit it.
We first met Felix at his home in Norfolk, Virginia, where he shared his remarkable story with us.
That was actually our main concern, the freedom of this country.
On D-Day, he was navigating the dark and dangerous waters of the English Channel on his Navy landing craft, dropping American soldiers off to battle at Omaha Beach. Among those soldiers, his brother Salvatore. He was one of the first wave of Army infantry to come ashore.
I'm not ashamed to admit that I was crying like a baby. And so as my brother was going off, I told him, I said, keep your head low. And then I didn't see him again until after the end of the war.
Unlike the 2,400 casualties at Omaha that day, Salvatore survived the war. Years later, the two brothers were planning a return to the shores of Normandy together.
We were going to go like in June, but in January, that same year he had passed away, so we never got to go. So this is my first opportunity to have the chance to go back to Normandy.
At the age of 99, Felix received an offer from American Airlines to attend the 80th anniversary of D-Day with 66 other World War II heroes. His son Bill joining him as he sees Omaha Beach again for the first time since 1944.
I know this was a trip you were hoping to make with your brother. Thinking about him today?
Yes, I have. I've been thinking about the 12 men that were my buddies that were killed. But I was fortunate, I guess God just saved my life.
Just think of what he went through. I can imagine it. No history book can tell you any of this stuff, what they lived through.
And then it was time to walk to the shoreline. At 99 years old, finally, steps toward healing.
The guy right alongside of me getting hit by machine gun shells. It just brings back too many memories.
It's not easy allowing himself to remember, but critical, Felix says, that none of us ever forget.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
What an honor it is to meet you.
We thank them for their service, and we thank Lara for bringing us that story. And that is our show for this hour. I'm Lindsay Davis. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. Thanks so much for streaming with us. Coming up in the next hour, the harrowing moments when a gunman wearing ISIS insignia shot and injured a guard outside the U.S. Embassy in Lebanon in broad daylight, and intense rains and hurricanes flood vast farmlands in Colombia. What's at stake for thousands who have been displaced in recent storms?
Friday night.
This was a crime of emotion, of violence.
On a new 2020 true crime.
I remember watching her walk down the aisle, thinking, I'm actually marrying this girl.
In the eyes of the law, Leo Schofield is a killer, but his many supporters say there's much more to the story.
Imagine your wife murdered, and you were put in prison for over 30 years. But you didn't do it?
Oh, I promise I'm not gonna do this. I'm sorry.
He says it happened to him.
I see this as a man who spent 36 years in prison for a crime that he didn't commit.
Man, I wish I had my dad. My husband did not kill his first wife. I absolutely 100% know that.
Not everyone is convinced.
He's a cold-blooded, unrepentant murderer.
Leo's an innocent man.
Now Friday night.
You had to find out who these prints belong to.
The incredible new development.
This is a bombshell.
Takes this case in a completely surprising direction.
Is a 1 in a million chance.
A case 2020 has investigated for years.
We did not make a mistake.
All comes down to this moment.
I really need it to happen.
Follow the fingerprints, the true crime event.
The tears just started flowing.
David Muir, Deborah Roberts, the all-new 2020, Friday night at 9/8 Central on ABC.
It's lunchtime in America, so what are we serving up?
Well, how about everything you need to know?
You know, that sounds pretty good.
Give it to me. Your health, your money, breaking news, pop culture, with the biggest stars, music, trends, and of course, good food. GMA 3, what you need to know. A third hour of GMA in the afternoon.
So join us, afternoons.
For everything you need to know. I love that.
Are you ready to celebrate? Sunday, June 30th, across the country. See, experience some of the nation's greatest Pride celebrations all in one place as they happen live right here on ABC News Live. Pride across America. Celebrate joy, love, freedom, and pride. Sunday, June 30th, starting at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Streaming on ABC News Live and stream on Hulu.
beauty queen killer. He's targeting young women in malls.
I am single. I want to join the company of a member of women.
He tortured me.
How did she survive 9 days of terror?
The word accomplice came up. Nobody knows the real story.
The Beauty Queen Killer, only on Hulu.
Reporting from Monterey Park, California, I'm Robin Roberts. Wherever the story is, we're going to take you there. You're streaming ABC News live.
Good evening, everyone. This is ABC News Live Prime. I'm Lindsay Davis. Thank you so much for streaming with us. We have a lot of news to get to this evening, including a possible terror plot uncovered in Paris as world leaders arrive for the 80th anniversary of D-Day. Plus, 80 years after they landed on the beaches of Normandy, America's World War II veterans are back. Their message to everyone at home watching tonight. Plus, a much-needed win for Boeing and major milestone. The astronauts currently on their way to the International Space Station. But we do begin with new tensions in the Middle East. An armed gunman attacking the U.S. Embassy in Beirut, Lebanon, engaging in a shootout with embassy security. Authorities say he had the word ISIS written across his vest. A Lebanese official confirmed this video shows the gunman ducking as an armed vehicle goes by. Authorities say the gunman was wounded and is now hospitalized. No Americans were hurt in the attack. The ambassador was not there at the time. Authorities also said the gunman is a Syrian national and that they've arrested 5 others, including 3 members of the gunman's family. Our chief global affairs anchor Martha Raddatz leads us off.
In broad daylight, just outside the heavily secured U.S. Embassy, a gunman armed with an automatic weapon. Lebanese officials confirming he's seen in this video darting between vehicles. The sound of gunfire ripping through the neighborhood. Horrified onlookers shouting, "Bring someone to help. Where is the security?" Minutes later, the suspected gunman shot and arrested by Lebanese army soldiers, but expected to survive. Authorities say he is a Syrian national, and written across his ammunition vest, the word ISIS.
We are conducting a full investigation with the Lebanese authorities into the actual motivations.
A local guard was seriously injured in the shootout, but no U.S. personnel were involved. Lebanese authorities arrested 5 additional people, including members of the suspected shooter's family, in raids following the attack.
Martha Raddatz joins us now. Martha, the State Department recently warned Americans who plan to travel to Lebanon. What are they saying?
They did, Lindsay, and luckily no Americans were injured in this attack, but the shooting does follow that warning from the State Department that said terrorists could conduct attacks in Lebanon with little or no warning. That seems to be exactly what happened today. Lindsay?
Sure does. Martha Raddatz, our thanks to you. Meanwhile, in France, authorities are investigating a possible terror plot. The suspect is a former member of the Russian military who officials say detonated a homemade bomb at a hotel near Charles de Gaulle Airport. ABC's Tom Sufi Burridge is in Paris with the latest.
Tonight, a Russian national suspected of orchestrating a terror plot reportedly targeting French military equipment headed for Ukraine is now in custody. Police arresting the 26-year-old man after he was found with products and materials intended for the manufacture of explosive devices, according to France's anti-terrorism prosecutor. The man discovered by first responders on Monday night after a homemade device exploded in a hotel room near Paris's Charles de Gaulle Airport, with the suspect treated for severe burns and now being questioned in hospital, say officials. Guns and fake passports also found in that hotel room, according to French media. Tonight, reports that the suspect served 2 years in the Russian military and comes from Ukraine's eastern Donbass region, much of which has been occupied by Russian and Russian proxy forces for more than a decade.
And Lindsay, this alleged Russian-inspired plot coming after French President Macron did not rule out sending troops to Ukraine to stop Russia from winning the war. Lindsay?
All right, Tom, our thanks to you. And in Normandy, France, President Biden will deliver an address tomorrow marking D-Day, the 80th anniversary of Allied forces storming the beaches of France in World War II. According to the White House, his remarks will defend freedom and democracy and also the importance of American leadership. ABC's chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce is traveling with the president. Mary, what's the latest from the president's trip?
Well, Lindsay, the president arriving here in France today to, of course, honor the veterans, but also to underscore the importance of American leadership and protecting democracy. The president is trying to rally allies to help defend Ukraine against Russia, and he will meet with Ukrainian President Zelensky while he is here. Ukraine, of course, has been using U.S.-made weapons to strike back inside Russia, and Vladimir Putin today stressing that Russia, a nuclear-armed power, will use all means to respond to the West. Putin saying, quote, if someone's actions threaten our sovereignty, we consider it possible for ourselves to use all the means at our disposal. And while President Biden's remarks here will not be an official campaign speech, he has put preserving democracy at the center of this race. And Lindsay, he will make it clear the sharp contrast with Donald Trump.
All right, Mary Bruce reporting in from Paris, traveling with the president. Thanks so much, Mary. And tomorrow, David Muir will sit down with President Biden in Normandy for an exclusive interview on the D-Day anniversary, its relevance today, as well as the many pressing issues the president is facing, including the upcoming election. The Senate has failed to advance legislation that would codify the right to access contraceptives nationwide. All but 2 Republicans present voted against the measure for a final vote of 51 to 39. Democrats look to put reproductive care at the front of their messaging in the lead up to November election. Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has promised several more votes on reproductive rights in the coming weeks. And in Delaware, President Joe Biden's son Hunter is on trial for 3 felony gun charges. It was a day of difficult and emotional testimony as Hunter's ex-wife and a former girlfriend took the stand for the prosecution. Here's ABC's Terry Moran with the details.
On day 3 of Hunter Biden's trial, the women from his past were called to testify as prosecutors tried to prove he lied about his drug use on an application for a gun in 2018. Kathleen Buell, Hunter's ex-wife, avoided looking at her husband of 25 years and in a soft and halting voice told jurors about the day in 2015 she discovered he was using crack. I found a crack pipe in an ashtray on the side porch of our home, she said. Buell told jurors she could tell when Hunter was using because he was not himself. He was angry and short-tempered. But that marriage was over years before Hunter filled out his gun background check in 2018, cross-examination revealing that Buell knew little of where Hunter was or what he was doing then. So prosecutors put Zoe Keston on the stand, his former girlfriend and exotic dancer he met at a strip club. Keston testifying she saw Hunter smoking crack just 3 weeks before he bought that Colt .38 gun and said he'd smoke every 20 minutes or so. But on cross-examination, Keston admitted she lost contact with Hunter days later and had no idea what Hunter was doing at the time he applied to purchase the gun. Defense lawyers say he was abusing alcohol, not drugs, at that time. Prosecutors went on to show the photos from Keston's phone of a crack pipe in the hotel rooms the couple shared. Keston describing Hunter's demeanor on crack. I remember thinking to myself that there was no change in his behavior. He was the same charming person.
Terry Moran joins us now from Washington. Terry, what stood out to you in court today?
Well, that prosecutors really did put 2 of the women from Hunter Biden's past on the witness stand to bring the jury close to his addiction. They were witnesses to the beginning of it, his ex-wife who discovered that crack pipe, and then Zoe Keston, the dancer with whom he was romantically involved, who joined him in using it and using crack with him. And then the last witness of the day, actually more critical, the gun shop owner who sold Hunter Biden that Colt .38 special and watched as Hunter Biden affirmed on that federal form that he was not abusing drugs at the time of the purchase. So that is probably more important in the long run than the more lurid testimony that the prosecutors elicited from the women. Lindsay?
Terry Moran for us. Thanks so much, Terry. Initially convicted in the murder of her roommate, it's been more than a decade since American Amanda Knox was later exonerated by an Italian court. Today in Italy, she had hoped to clear her name for good. Instead, this time, she was convicted of slander. James Longman is in Italy tonight.
Amanda Knox came to Italy to clear her name once and for all. But tonight, yet another Italian court has found her guilty, this time for slander. The charges go back nearly 17 years to the killing of her British roommate Meredith Kircher. Knox was tried for murder, convicted, and later exonerated. But now Knox has been retried and found guilty of trying to pin Meredith's death on her boss at the time, Congolese bar owner Patrick Lumbaba. In court, the now 36-year-old mother of 2 made an emotional plea, saying she was coerced by police officers when she was just 20 into making the accusation. It didn't work.
The big surprise, we were looking for having a dismissal.
How's Amanda?
Amanda's very upset.
Knox and her then-boyfriend Rafaele Solicito were cleared of Meredith's murder in 2015, but not before she'd spent nearly 4 years in prison. It was this man, Rudy Guede, who was found guilty of the 21-year-old's death. His DNA was found at the scene. Guede was jailed for 13 years and released early in 2021.
Knox was given a 3-year sentence, but she won't go to prison because of the amount of time she's already spent behind bars. Her team says she'll appeal. Lindsay?
James, thank you. Tonight, New York's plan to charge vehicles at least $15 to drive into parts of Manhattan is now on hold indefinitely. It was set to take effect June 30th and meant to reduce traffic and increase public transit. Governor Kathy Hochul called it off indefinitely, citing cost concerns for struggling New Yorkers. Republicans are calling it a political move before the election. After several delays, Boeing's Starliner spacecraft has finally launched its first astronaut-crewed flight. The Starliner blasted off from Cape Canaveral earlier today. The capsule will transport 2 veteran NASA astronauts to the International Space Station. The mission is set to last a total of 8 days in space, and the historic capsule plans to transmit live video from inside the Starliner back to Earth. And we still have much more to get to here on Prime tonight. Coming up, Christian pastor Carl Lentz was fired from the international megachurch Hillsong because of breaches of trust and infamous moral failures. But now he says he's ready for the next chapter. He tells it all in an exclusive interview with Byron Pitts. The next, why Brits were eagerly lining up outside the Bank of England today.
I experienced a lot of rejection, a lot of heartache. I'm a tough woman, but it's not easy. You're gonna feel lonely. There was a lot of personal stuff in my life that was really falling apart. But Mom and Daddy didn't raise no quitter.
Not everybody makes it.
It's taken me a really long time to even get to this moment.
The CMA Award for Album of the Year for Female Vocalist of the Year.
Entertainer of the Year
Goes to Lainey
Wilson.
That was a mic drop.
The Entertainer of the Year, baby.
What she is doing right now is changing country music.
I'm proud of myself. I really am. I have worked my ass off. Now it's time to see what's next. I do see the bell bottoms and the hat as my superhero outfit.
If you were coming of age in the 1980s, the Brat Pack was near the center of your cultural awareness. But for those of us experiencing it from the inside, the Brat Pack was something very different.
I'm really sorry that article had to come out.
I just remember seeing that cover and thinking, oh. So I thought it might be interesting to try and contact everyone who is in the Brat Pack. You were not interested in talking about the Brat Pack.
I turned everything down.
How come you're talking to me?
Because it was time that we clear the air on a couple of things.
Whoa. I hated the Brat Pack for decades. What a disaster.
Why did we take it as an offense?
We're afraid we were brats, you know. Andrew?
I mean, I'm not going to say we were the Beatles or anything.
Well, we didn't fill Shea Stadium. There were moments.
We could have. 1985, I think we could have.
Reporting from the 2024 campaign trail in North Charleston, South Carolina, I'm Rachel Scott. Wherever the story is, we'll take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
Welcome back. We're tracking several headlines around the world. A man with dual U.S.-Russian citizenship was sentenced by a Russian court to 3.5 years in prison on charges of rehabilitating Nazism. He was arrested last December over social media posts that allegedly denigrated the St. George's ribbon, which is often used to commemorate World War II veterans. One social post reportedly showed a picture of a corpse wearing the ribbon with a caption saying, "How to wear the St. George's ribbon correctly." At least 2 people have died and 4,000 have been affected by floods in Colombia. Intense rain swamped vast swaths of savanna, destroying crops and farmlands. Many said that they had lost their crops, including banana and papaya, after intense rains ravaged the northern region. Banknotes featuring a portrait of King Charles entered circulation in Britain today, nearly 2 years after he succeeded the late Queen Elizabeth as head of state. Charles's image will appear on the new notes for 5, 10, 20, and 50-pound notes. Existing notes featuring Elizabeth will continue to circulate. In the fall of 2020, Christian pastor Carl Lentz was fired as the leader of the New York branch of the international megachurch Hillsong. According to the church, Lentz, known for his charisma and celebrity connections, was terminated due to leadership issues, breaches of trust, and moral failures. In a statement, Lentz admitted he'd been unfaithful in his marriage. Now, our Nightline co-anchor, Byron Pitts, is sitting down with Carl Lentz and his wife, Laura, in an exclusive interview that airs tonight. Let's listen to a moment from that interview.
How did you let it get so bad? How did you let it fall apart?
My whole life.
Yeah. Why couldn't you keep it in your pants to keep it in control?
Well, that wasn't the primary thing that got me in trouble. It wasn't a sexual thing. It's not like I was out, looking to have sex or looking to commit adultery. I had deep brokenness that manifests itself in a lot of different ways.
There's that saying that power and money and prestige don't change who you are, it reveals who you are.
It's true. Money and influence revealed that I was a broken guy that had some serious flaws that I could function with for a long time until you couldn't.
Do you want to change?
I'm changing.
Byron Pitts joins us now. Thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
Byron. All right, so he talks about his brokenness. You all take this a little further to go into his addiction.
Yes.
What did he tell you about that?
Well, he says that he was addicted to prescription drugs. He was taking medication for ADHD, medication he said he would normally take about once a day. At one point, though, he started taking it 3 or 4 times a day. It would help him focus. It would help him stay awake. This is a guy, as you recall, that when he was at the peak of his powers, he was everywhere all the time. And so he was going, 18, 20 hours a day. He also talked about a sexual addiction. We talk about, he had spoken about this in smaller detail in the past. He was molested as a child, as a 5-year-old boy. And all of us know anything about childhood trauma and sexual abuse. It impacts you. It changes your brain.
Sure.
And so he makes the argument that that brokenness, the drugs, finally caught up with him. And his particular negative obsession became sex. He had multiple affairs, and it cost him.
But his wife stayed with him.
She's co-pastor of this church, and things just blow up for her. And so she was prepared to walk away. Like she is a modern-day, intelligent woman who's like, I don't play that. She tells this story in a very compelling way in our interview, where she says they were in a therapy session, and Carl was saying for the first time detail about his sexual abuse as a child when he was a 5-year-old boy, details she had never heard before. And she said in that session, he began to convulse, couldn't speak. And she said she had never seen him that way. And she realized in that moment that my husband might be a bad man, but he is absolutely a broken man. And as his life partner, as his wife, though I'm dealing with my own hurt, do I walk away from that? Or do I attempt to lean in? And she chose to lean in.
Giving him some grace.
Yes.
Byron Pitts, our thanks to you. And still to come, World News Tonight anchor David Muir in Normandy, France, bears witness to the intimate stories of World War II heroes and keeps their memories alive for the next generation.
Why do so many people start their day here?
From ABC News, this is Start Here.
To be in the know and get a different take on the day's top stories.
A lot of news today, so let's get into it.
Listen now to the Daily News Podcast honored with 4 Edward R. Murrow Awards and see why the New York Times calls it a news podcast worth listening to. Start Here, ABC News. Make it your daily first listen.
Now, that's a part of the story I bet you didn't see coming.
Wherever you get your podcasts, Start Here.
Let's go.
The ship is incredible. It feels like living in a science fiction movie.
We just saw what no one has seen before.
Wow, look at that.
Oh my gosh.
Well, dead ahead. Hang on!
We are heading into the unknown.
Hammer, hammer, hammer. It doesn't get any more cutting edge than this.
All right, let the dogs out, please.
I don't think he's going to give you a hard time.
Even if he gives me a hard time, I'm the right guy. I want to make sure that we all learn together.
Calm, confident.
Calm, confident, calm, surrender.
Everything that he's taught has become a reality.
We are so grateful and impressed.
I feel like crying. You changed our world.
It is a beautiful thing to see. As you rehabilitate the dog, you also rehabilitate you.
What does it take to be the most watched newscast in America?
We are part of an operation.
Is this our combat operations center?
We're approaching the gate. Militants came in from different directions. Nuclear reactor. So you have a couple loaded and ready to go. The house is destroyed, but the flag. Not a tear in it. How important is made to USA? Great work.
Hi. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Ismail? David.
I'm David Muir.
I know you are.
You
Watch
do?
you every night.
ABC's World News Tonight with David Muir is America's most watched newscast.
Tomorrow marks 80 years since thousands of brave American sons stormed the beaches of Normandy. For more than 5 years now, ABC has been documenting their journey. World News Tonight anchor David Muir has their stories and their message to everyone at home watching tonight as they make their journey back.
It is sunrise here on the beaches of Normandy, where 80 years ago, in the early morning hours, thousands of brave American sons began storming the beaches of Normandy. And they would keep coming for days.
Everybody was scared because of the long life we figured we were going to have could be ended with one bullet or one bomb or one mine.
People say, how did you get off that boat and go in on the beach? There was a job had to be done. Somebody had to do it. We did it.
I've never seen as many dead men on the beaches as I've ever seen. You couldn't stop and help anybody because they kept hollering, get off the beach, and get set to go fire those guns.
Seeing all of these boys that was killed and just laying there on the beach, it was just tough for a little kid to handle. And we were all young.
Man, I was scared. I didn't realize what war was until that day. It was awful.
There was no sleeping on that ship. So we were up all night.
We had to climb down the net, big cargo net, hanging down the side of the ship with your equipment. If you slipped, you wind up in between and being crushed.
There were parachutes in trees. We knew the people had to be killed. You grew up in a hurry.
For 5 years now, we have been documenting our World War II veterans. We lose 131 heroes every day in the U.S. Fewer than 1% of them are still here. In this towing garage in Vineland, New Jersey, a quiet World War II veteran has been coming to work here since 1964.
Tim, how are you?
What an honor and a pleasure this is for me.
Oh, this is an honor for me.
Tim Canary is 102.
You still remember you were 22 years old when you landed on that beach.
Yes, I do. What you were doing was you had to move, keep moving.
You didn't have time to think about.
That's right.
He was a medic.
You were there to help the injured. And there were many.
Yes.
He shows me the photos and the notes he took as a young man at war.
You wrote here, Bloody Beach.
Bloody Beach.
He was part of the 45th Evacuation Hospital.
You helped get them home.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. A lot of them didn't make it.
We spent time with Harold Himmelsbach, too. Raised in Yakima, Washington. He is now 98.
Harold.
How are you?
It's an honor.
He remembers landing on that beach on D-Day.
It was the most dramatic time in my life, and I remember best and saw things that very few people would ever see. I was saved, other guys died within feeding me.
He was just 18.
I remember I had to pick up one guy's head, because he'd been cut and so forth, and you almost took it as the reality of where you were. In other words, you knew you had to do these things. That was just take care of your friend, and that's what we all did. We were all Americans.
The letter he wrote home to his mother.
Dear Mom, I suppose I should begin this by telling you I am somewhere in France.
So many of those young American soldiers kept diaries.
June 6, 1944.
invasion started.
Harold McMurrin's diary had no entries for the next 5 days. He was with the 4th Infantry Division, and he told us he watched the medics trying to save his friends.
They would try to perform. Even sometimes they would be in worse shape than the men they was trying to take care of. We all had what we called a buddy, and we knew that that buddy would give his life for us, and vice versa.
One of those brave combat medics at the war, Jake Ruser, who is now 99.
Jake, it's an honor.
Dave, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too.
Jake knows how many heroes we lose every day, which is why he's on his way to a high school history class in Downingtown, Pennsylvania, to make sure their sacrifice is not forgotten.
You didn't even talk about it for years and years.
For years, for 60-some years, I never talked about it.
Why do you think you didn't talk about it for so long?
Don't know.
You all came home and got to work.
We got home, came home, went to finish our education, and we went to work.
Hello, Mr. Ruser. How are you?
The principal and the students who are now nearly Jake's age when he was sent off to the war.
The world we live in today is no accident. The freedom we enjoy today is the result of the actions of heroic folks like Mr. Ruser.
The students fixed on Jake's words about the combat medics who would go out into no man's land, German snipers waiting.
A lot of people don't realize that you were not armed.
We were not armed
when you went out into no man's land.
Yeah. You had to keep your eyes and ears open.
And there were times when the Germans took aim.
Their idea was to try to knock you out.
Do you remember losing any of the medics?
Oh, we lost quite a few of our medics.
The students had their own questions.
How did you mentally prepare yourself to go to war knowing that there was a possibility that you weren't going to return back home?
You never thought about that. You always went with the idea you're going to make it through.
What would you say is something you gained from the war and something you lost?
I think it made you grow up sooner. I'll tell you what, you did an awful lot of praying, at least I did.
Thank you for your service. I mean, you put your life on the line.
Oh, thank you.
The applause from those students now fueling Jake on his journey back to Normandy.
It's impressive, isn't it?
Alan Kinder from Gainesville, Georgia, going back too after answering the call 80 years ago.
It would have been terrible not to have been in it at the time. Personal pride was important to everybody, you know.
Irving Locker in Oxford, Florida, getting ready too.
That's my helmet during the war.
There's a reason he's going back.
People have to know that freedom is not free. So I'm doing that now with my full heart and conscience.
And back at that towing garage in New Jersey, Tim is getting ready for the journey.
At 102 years old, to go back 80 years later.
That's something that gets to me. 80 years. And the people of Normandy are still honoring us.
Heroes still. Our thanks to David Muir for that. And that is our show for tonight. I'm Lindsay Davis. ABC News Live is here for you all night with the latest news, context, and analysis. You can always find us on Hulu, Roku, Pluto TV, the ABC News app, and of course on abcnews.com. The news never stops. Thanks so much for streaming with us. Have a great night.
Streaming free Friday night on ABC News Live.
I'm a rock and